In this tutorial we are going to draw a lovely sleeping kitten, and I'm using pastel pencils for this. Of course you can also draw it with regular color pencils if you want. And I'm using a kind of well, firm grayish paper. And what I'm doing is first I lay in underground. It's the blanket that the kitten is sleeping on, and his head is tilted sideways, so he's sleeping on the side of his head. And I first draw in the little circle for the snout and the eyes, and this is the midline for my kitten, so I know where the nose can go and that everything is in proportion and the right way tilted. And underneath the snout I draw in the chin that is buried in halfway into the blanket. And here's the forehead and the back of the head. It's very important to draw in two circles so that the ears come from the front of the head, and you can see the back of the head just between those ears. And if you do not do that, the cat will appear very flat. So please take notice that you draw in the back of the head between the ears. And because this is a kitten, the ears will be rather big in comparison to the head. And the way you want your cat to lay, well, that's up to you. You can have the paws laid out in front of him. Here I'm drawing in the paw just in front of the nose, so it's like the paw is a little bit over the blanket, and that's nice. In the starter study you saw in the first when I started this film, the paw was flattened out to the left, but you can choose whatever you want. And now I'm starting to draw in the most important white areas in the face, and I'm kind of laying an underground with white pastel. These are the typical hairs that are in front of the ears. They're at the end of the skull, and they are very light, almost white. So I've placed that in, and as you see, you can erase help lines a little bit. It's possible with the pastel pencils. And here, what is very important are those white markings around the eyes. In this case they are very important because our kitten is sleeping, so his eyes are closed, and then those white marker lines are very, very important. Then I go look for all other important light areas. Here on the top of the skull and a little bit on the back of the skull. And I also lay an underlayment of white in the inside of the ears. And here you can just see the back of the body. And the tip of the toes I will make white. I will not pay very much attention to the left of the body, because I want all the attention to go to the face of our little kitten. But I do need that little paw that is laying there. It's nice for your composition. For the rest, I take good notice of the way that the hair is growing and the way that it falls, because the cat is laying in some kind of position. And here I put the underlayment for the cheeks of the kitten, and then I have most of my white areas. Then it's time to go to the burnt sienna. It's a dark brown, and what I look for now are just the opposite. Those are the darkest areas in our kitten. That's the shadow underneath the skin, the lines around the nose, and all the markings that there are in the face. Here you can see the little dots where the whiskers come out from. Those are very dark in this colored kind of, it's kind of a tabby I think you call it. I'm not sure, but they have those tiger marks, and I like that a lot. And here on the side of the eyes there are also those typical markings. So I draw those all in with the burnt sienna. Here you can see just the back of the ear, which is dark. And I also use it for the shadow parts that are inside of the ears. For the nose itself, I'm using a very soft pink. Trying out a little bit here with also a darker pink and kind of combining them. And you can also use that for the inside of the mouth. Then I fade that out a little bit with the yellow ochre. The yellow ochre is a mid-tone. So it's kind of in between the burnt sienna and the white. And now I can go over the parts that I have not colored in. And I kind of glue all my drawing that I've done so far together with that yellow ochre. You can see I also use it on the top of the head, the front of the head. What I've done now is I've taken a black color, but I use it very scarce. I use it in this case to draw in the closed eyes. So I draw a very sharp line for the ear of for the eyes that are very closed, but you can just see that little eyeliner line that is around the eyes. And I also use the black for the inside of the nose itself, the entrances, and a little bit inside the mouth. So that's where the darkest shadows are. I I do that the same for the left eye. You can see the markings of the kind of a teardrop kind of mask. And I also use it a little bit for the very dark edge of the nose. And then of course that little tiny line for the closed eye of our sleeping kitty. Also here for to get the feel of the cat really lying down in the blanket, and for the darkest entrance of the ear, and also to get some hair feel, a fur coat. I draw in a little bit with the black pastel. Be careful with it, and I use it as little as possible. I'm not using too much attention, as I was saying, for the paw. Here I'm using it for the little hairs in the ear to get a real hairy look. Once you've drawn that, it's time for the hairs on the eye, those long hair, and for the whiskers. Make sure to get really quick lines for those whiskers. And you can see how nice you can put those over your already drawn in pastel. For the inside of the ear, I'm using that light pink again. For the tip of the nose and just alongside the nose, I'm using the yellow ochre. It's a bit kind of orange, like light brown. And well, it's typical, it takes up the color of the cat, and just a little bit more black to get the whiskers really standing out. With the white now, I can go over the most light parts and the parts around the eye. Here also, for the hairs inside of the ear, I use the white. And here, with the black pastel pencil, I just put in the little tiny hairs around the eyes. It's just those nice little detail that really gives it that realistic feel. For the surrounding, I do not do much. At home I have this blanket which is yellow with blue, so I'm drawing that in, but very roughly. And as I was saying, I want all the attention to go to the little kitten and not to the surrounding. So I merely draw in some lines to get the feel of the kitten is really cuddled into his blankie. Gives the cat a place on the drawing paper and, well, gives it a nice feel. This is my study, and I hope you've enjoyed it and that you will try this also. So I wish you all the luck with it, and I hope to see you again in one of my other movies. Take care and see you next time. Bye bye.